go to the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Week 4 fantasy football. We're helping you set your Week 4 fantasy football lineups. If you have questions for Jeff Pasquino from thefootballguys.com, send your fantasy football questions to our text board, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973 with your fantasy football questions. Ryan will compile all of those questions, and we'll ask Jeff coming up in just a minute. But first, Jeff, Thursday Night Football, we got a good matchup, Vikings and Rams. Who should be active tonight in tonight's game?
Yeah, if I would have said before last week this was going to be a barn burner, but what happened in Minnesota last week? Crazy week in Week 3. But I think we're looking really good for a good matchup. Even with that said, I think you're looking at both offenses putting up a lot of points. The question is really going to be Dalvin Cook at running back for Minnesota. It's a game-time decision. If he's active, he's more of a running back too, but I think he should be out there with limited running back this week, with first week of buys. Wide receiver, I think Adam Thielen tops my list, and all three receivers for the Rams. You got Cooks, you got Woods, you got Cooper Kupp, and also Kyle Rudolph is a great option at tight end. So I think you got a lot of fancy options, and obviously Todd Gurley. All these guys get out there. Lots of offense tonight. I think we're looking at a 27-24 or higher tight game.
Okay, that's tonight, 97.3 ESPN. The coverage begins at 8 p.m. Let's look at some quarterbacks here. Throw them Jeff's way. Don't forget, send your questions in on the text board, 609-403-0973. We'll answer your questions in a minute. But first, let's get a couple names out there. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 3 straight games with over 400 yards. Is this matchup against this Bears defense a good one for Fitzmagic?
The Bears have been better than most people think, and they've had some tougher matchups going this season. I think it's a decent matchup. He's a borderline quarterback 1, but there are about 10 other guys that we like higher.
All right, Baker Mayfield, I know a lot of hype on him. He's a rookie. Is he a fantasy guy for you?
I think he's a solid quarterback, too. We really want to see how he goes out there and does it in a full game. There's a lot of hype coming at home. It's tough to go into black hole on the road there. I think Cleveland will show up well. They may even get a second win here, but Mayfield's more of a quarterback, too.
Okay, how about the return of Carson Wentz? What are you advising fantasy owners of Wentz to do with him now that you've seen him for a week?
Well, I think he's also kind of a borderline quarterback, too, only because Tennessee may only score 9 points again. So I think that the Eagles may have to run up a lot of points. The defense is looking good. They've got Jay Ajayi probably coming back. So Wentz will have a respectable game, but it may not be that big fantasy performance you want from a quarterback this week.
All right. What about Andrew Luck? This was a fantasy star a couple of years back. He's back healthy, but is he back in fantasy lineups?
He still needs a little bit of help. I think he's got some solid potential, but Houston defense looked pretty good. And he looked good against the Eagles last week. He was very elusive in the pocket, moved well both in and out of the pocket. That offense is kind of mediocre for the Colts. I think he's going to be solid this week, but again, he's in the quarterback 2 category.
Big week for Matt Ryan last week. I played against him. He burned me big time. So what about Matt Ryan this week against the Bengals?
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be going against the NFC West defenses. I think New Orleans and Atlanta, their defenses are non-existent right now, so lots of points came out of there. The Bengals just gave up 31 points to Carolina last week, and I think that Matt Ryan is hot, and he's at home. So I think that's a real time to use the hot hand here and go with Matt Ryan this week.
All right, one last quarterback before we move to running backs for Jeff, and let's look at about Deshaun Watson. A lot of people thought he was going to have a big year, had a slow start. What about him now?
Yeah, I was just talking to Josh about him before I came on. I'm a little concerned about Houston. They can't block for anything right now. They get Lamar Miller had 10 carries for 10 yards last week, and the reason that Houston lost is because the quarterback had absolutely no time in the pocket. So I like Watson. I think he's got respectable fantasy upside. He's a borderline quarterback 1 for me. But until Houston starts blocking people, I'm a little hesitant to really put Watson out there with confidence.
All right, keep your fantasy questions coming. Send them a text, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. I see some questions coming in. We'll keep compiling them. Let's go over to the running backs and continue to get Jeff's insight on these guys. All right, let's go with James Conner against Baltimore. No Bell again, so Conner's the guy seemingly there. They're trying to trade him. So is Conner a running back 1 the rest of the year?
I think he is. Tomlin loves to use a feature back, and Connor is that guy. He's getting lots of touches, both as a receiver and a rusher, and he's in a great offense to Pittsburgh, scoring a lot of points. So I would put Connor out there every week with confidence.
Jordan Howard, I'm interested to get your take on him. That Bears offense isn't great. They're playing Tampa. I mean, is Jordan Howard a running back that you like this week?
I think he's a solid running back one this week. I think the Bears are going to be a tough matchup for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is definitely going to put up points, but they give up a lot of yards and a lot of points to the Steelers. So I think Jordan Howard's getting a lot of touches, and he's being used on all three downs. He's a solid running back one against Tampa this week.
You got Jay Ajayi. Looks like he's coming back this week, but Wendell Smallwood had a good week. Got Corey Clement. Do you stay away from the Eagle guys, or is there a guy you like?
Well, I think the guy I'm going to use, if I'm going to use anybody, is Ajayi. I think he's used in the red zone. We saw that in week one. I think when he's healthy, he's the guy. And also we got Clement that's showing up in the injury report as of late. So I think Ajayi is the guy. And plus, I don't think you want to lean on Wentz just yet.
Got the Denver situation. Lindsey got knocked out, ejected last week, and so it looked like Freeman had the better game. But we know that Lindsey got ejected. So what are you doing there for the Denver running backs this week?
Well, if I can, I'm trading for Lindsey or picking him up because I think he's still the guy, and that was just a silly mistake by a rookie. Got into a scrum and threw a punch and got ejected there. He's going to see the bulk of the work against Kansas City. Kansas City has been doing well, but their defense has given up points as well this year, and I think that they're going to give up points to Denver. It's going to be a shootout on Monday night.
What about the Green Bay running back situation? Aaron Jones returned last week. Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones.
I think it's a mess. I think you've got three guys there. You also have Ty Montgomery that's catching balls in the backfield. Green Bay's still trying to figure themselves out, and this is a week they really need a get-right game, and they have Buffalo at home, which I would have said has been a homecoming type event, but we just saw what the Bills did last week. That defense is not too bad. So I think that they're still spreading the ball around, and I think all three guys would get a lot of touches if the game goes as expected, because Packers are big favorites. Look for all three running backs to see 10-plus touches this week, but probably not 20.
Okay, we're going to move to the receivers. Keep your questions coming. 609-403-0973. If you have questions for Jeff, we'll get to those in just a second. A couple wide receiver questions here. Juju Smith-Schuster, had the big night. Antonio Brown, we know always there, but do you start both of those guys and feel confident?
I think you do. I think that Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, now everybody's looking at that matchup and thinking the way that things used to be, and the NFL has changed yet again. Baltimore and Pittsburgh used to be 21-20, 23-20 type contest, slugfest. I think we're looking at a 31-30 or higher type shootout on Sunday night. National game, these teams really want to go after each other, but they're giving up a lot of points, and they're scoring lots of points. So I think I want to get as many players in the offense, especially in the passing game, on both sides as I can.
A.J. Green, questionable. Are you putting him out there against an Atlanta team? You talked about them earlier. They've been giving up big points.
If he's suiting up, I'm putting him out there because Atlanta just gave up 40-plus. So I think there's no hesitancy for me to use A.J. Green against Atlanta.
Flip side, Calvin Ridley was the big guy last week in Atlanta. Should he be active?
I think he should. He kind of proved his merit there. I think he saw a lot of targets. Julio Jones may or may not have been at full strength, but it didn't matter. Calvin really just lit the place up. Again, all Atlanta guys, I think Tevin Coleman's probably going to start in the backfield as well. I want everybody I can get in Atlanta and Cincinnati in another shootout this week.
How about a guy like Amari Cooper that people probably drafted maybe to be their number one or maybe at least number two receiver? He's been a little disappointing.
He has, and so have been the Raiders, who can't seem to put together 60 minutes to play a full game. They were tied with the Rams to start the week one, then fell apart. In the last two games, they've fallen apart in the fourth quarter with leads. So I think this is going to be a game that's really testing the Raiders. You've got them dinking and dunking the ball down the field, which hurts Cooper. I think Cooper's more of a wide receiver 3 against a pretty good Cleveland defense.
Last receiver, then we'll get your questions. Send us a question, 609-403-0973. What about Taylor Boyd going against that Atlanta team? Are you putting another Bengal in the lineup?
I think he's more of a flex play, maybe a wide receiver 3 at best, because you got 3 guys targeted there, and then you also got Eifert. So I think after A.J. Green, I don't see any guy getting 7-plus targets for certainty. I think he's a good flex play if you want some upside, but for a consistency basis, I don't believe in Boyd with John Ross and a few other guys in the mix.
All right, let's get some listener questions in. Ryan has been compiling your questions. Keep them coming. 609-403-0973, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. Go ahead.
All right, Jeff, first question here. Who should he start at quarterback, Stafford or Goff?
I actually like Goff tonight, and that might surprise a few people, but I think that he spreads the ball around, gets a lot of players in the offense. Matthew Stafford, I think he's a solid play, but I would choose Goff. Dallas defense is not that good, but I think Detroit's going to mix it up and be balanced on offense.
All right, second question here. 1 point PPR needs one in the flex. Boyd, Drake, Breida, or Callaway?
Callaway or Galloway?
Callaway, C.
Callaway. Okay, so yeah, I would have said Galloway, but I think I'm going to go with Drake just from a volume of touches. I think that the Miami is going to try and steal that game in New England, go up to 4-0, and then we're going to use Drake and give him 15-plus touches for sure.
All right, next question here. Hooper or Goddard for his tight end spot while Reed is on a bye week?
I think you got to go with Hooper in that mix. You want anybody you can in that offense.
All right, next question here. Mahomes or Breeze at quarterback?
Well, we got Mahomes near the top of the list again, and those guys are 1 and 2. But I think you lean towards Mahomes. But the Giants doing pretty well on defense and putting some good pass rush. I go Mahomes.
All right, Boyd or Josh Gordon?
I kind of like Josh Gordon this week. I think he's going to be on a pitch count, but I think if you want some big upside, you go with Josh Gordon.
Pitch count. All right, we'll look out for that pitch count. Bortles or Dak at quarterback? Not two great options there, but who do you lean towards?
I think Dak Prescott, only because I think Dallas is going to have to throw the ball to keep up with Detroit.
All right, Aaron Jones, Royce Freeman, or Lindsey? They need 2 of the 3.
I would go with Jones and Lindsey because they're going to see more touches.
All right, we got a lot of questions that are still coming in. Of course, people popping questions out here. So some of them about waiver wire stuff. So we'll let Jeff kind of wind down here with some guys that he likes, some sleepers, and some waiver wire options for week number 4.
The waiver wire has been a little thin this week. I think that if you can get anybody that's coming off of buys soon or just look for the buy situation. This is the first week with 2 teams on buys. So either be dropping players and you can snap them up and store them on your bench. Again, I think the Baltimore offense is looking good. I think John Brown, Mike Crabtree are solid. I think that you've got, if you really need a quarterback, I would stay away from C.J. Beathard. I don't think that's a good option. But I think you can go for the Seattle offense. Chris Carson has looked very good. He might be out there. And I think that you've got guys – Philadelphia backfield is still a little in flux. I think Ajayi, but maybe you go and get a Wendell Smallwood as a sleeper. But I think you keep looking, go for big offenses, go get those backups and secure them, and just secure your guys heading into bye week going forward.
All right, Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com. We'll do it again next week. Thanks for all the people who sent in their questions. We got to as many as we could. Next week, maybe we'll get to yours. And, of course, Jeff Pasquino, like all guests, appeared via the Boardwalk Honda hotline. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the games.